Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into a question that feels super modern, but its roots, well, they might go back a couple of thousand years. We're going to try and unpack our very complicated relationship with technology, and to do that, we're going to use the philosopher Martin Heidegger as our guide, and his really surprising take on Aristotle.
I mean, you've probably felt this, right? It's this feeling that our devices, our systems, they aren't just simple tools that we can pick up and put down whenever we want. No, it feels like they're this huge force that is actively shaping our lives, how we work, and maybe even the very way we see the world around us.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, Heidegger says that if we really want to understand our situation, we first have to get a handle on what makes modern technology so different from, well, everything that came before it.
Okay, so this idea of challenging forth is really the key here. See, modern tech doesn't just work with nature. Like a windmill just uses the wind that's already there. No, it aggressively challenges nature. It demands that nature give up its energy. A perfect example is a hydroelectric dam. It basically turns a river into what Heidegger called a standing reserve. It's like a giant battery, just sitting there waiting for us to flip a switch.
And this is the really wild part. This whole worldview, where everything, a river, a forest, an oil field, is just a resource to be managed and made super efficient, it feels completely normal to us. But Heidegger's point is that this is actually a very specific and pretty recent way of seeing things. And to figure out where it came from, he asks a pretty profound question. What if the problem isn't our technology, but our entire definition of truth itself?
So here's Heidegger's really radical diagnosis. He says this massive shift in how we relate to the world didn't start with some new machine. Nope, it started when our very idea of what truth is changed, when we drifted away from how the ancient Greeks first understood it.
For the ancient Greeks, truth wasn't really about a statement being correct or matching a fact. Truth, which they called aletheia, was an event. It was an experience. It's what happens when the world reveals itself to you, when something comes out of hiding and shows itself in the open for what it truly is.
And this is where we come in. The soul, the human person, isn't just a passive camera, just recording facts about the world. No, it's an active participant. It actively moves toward this revealing. It takes part in lifting the veil from the world to let things show themselves.
And you have to understand, this change is absolutely massive. Truth goes from being this event that happens out there in the world to being a quality of a sentence we make up in our heads. It goes from being a dynamic, ongoing process of revealing to just a static, verifiable fact.
Okay, so truth changes. Big deal, right? Well, it turns out it's a huge deal because this totally new way of understanding truth leads to two completely different ways of making and creating things in the world.
So the ancient craftsmen had a skill the Greeks called techne, and this skill was all about bringing forth. They saw themselves as kind of helping something emerge that was already on its way, almost like a midwife helping with a birth. You work with the material. You don't just impose your will on it.
So think about it like this. A silversmith using techne sort of follows the potential that's already in the silver, letting it reveal its own best form as, say, a beautiful chalice. Modern tech is totally different. A modern mining operation challenges forth the earth, demanding that it give up its ore to be stockpiled. You see the difference? One is a cooperative revealing, the other is an aggressive extraction.
Now, this huge difference in how we make things comes from an even deeper difference in how they saw reality itself. The ancient craftsmen worked with nature because, for the Greeks, the world wasn't just a pile of dead stuff. It was alive, it was fizzing with potential.
Aristotle had a word for this, dunamis. It's this inherent potential for something to become something else. A block of marble has the dunamis to become a statue. A little seed has the dunamis to become a giant tree. It's the could-be.
And then there's energeia, and that's when the potential becomes real. It's the being at work of a thing. It's when that potential is fully and actively happening. It's the finished statue. It's the fully grown tree. It's the real deal.
So for the ancient Greeks, the whole world was this constant, beautiful unfolding from potential to actuality. And our role, through our art and our skill, our techne, was to skillfully get involved in that natural process of becoming, to help it along. Okay, so let's try to pull this all together. Why do these ancient Greek ideas about potential and truth and making, filtered through a 20th century philosopher, why should any of this matter to us today?
in our world of AI and smartphones.
Well, the danger, the thing Heidegger was worried about, is that by only seeing the world as a resource to be controlled, by only using this challenging fourth mode, we risk becoming blind to all the other ways the world could reveal itself to us. We might be forgetting that quieter, more cooperative art of bringing forth.
And at the end of the day, that's the real question Heidegger's Read of Aristotle leaves for us. It's not about being for or against technology. It's about waking up to the fact that the tools we create are choices. And those tools, in turn, create a certain kind of world for us. So the final question really is, what kind of world are we choosing to reveal?